Happy Friday, everyone. From now on, I am thinking about doing a art weekly vlog. I know it's very fashionable these days, very trendy. So, as I'm of course very trendy and fashionable, just look at me. I decided to try to make one. I won't be explaining the process of each piece that I may be working, but because those will have their own video eventually, if I think it's worth it. But I'll be talking about the creative process that led me into the piece and the piece itself throughout each day of the week. Are you ready? Let's go. Monday. During the weekend, I must say, I felt rather naughty, and I decided to start painting what I think will be a series of. I wanted something poetic, but something spicy at the same time, and I've painted this. I also painted this, which I don't think I need to explain what it is, because basically I think it's an extraordinary object, and I've also painted it because I wanted to test my Instagram, because I see lots of can't show this, can't show that, and I wanted to paint that to put on Instagram to know if I would be kicked off or told off or something. Nothing happened. I did post it with a question like, would you ever thought about portraying it? Because one of my crazy ideas would be to portray penises, not from porn, but normal ones. Because again, I think it's an incredible tool, even for spiritual growth, as I see it as a sort of jed, like a energy battery, if you are acquainted with the Egyptian kind of ideology. And I think it's very important for men to be aware of it and to be aware of their own penises as tools, but in a good way, you know. Monday started awesomely, I must add, because I had a sale on Etsy, and it's always very rewarding, as you might imagine. On Tuesday, I dedicated myself entirely to the bust I mentioned about I was planning to do on my latest video. I did manage to do it and to start it and to make it, and it's not almost finished, but let me show you some photos. I won't be talking about the construction of this bust because again, I'm planning to make a whole video about this piece, and of course it will include the creating process. But what you see here, it's a papercrete face attached to a papier-mâché body. If I would be naughty, I would tell you that on Tuesday I made the whole thing, but that's not true. The face was already made and dried. The back of the face was the back of the head was already dried. The neck was already dried, and what I did was the bust area out of half a balloon in paper mache, and then the shoulders with half a rubber ball that I have somewhere, which I also shrinked like a kind of baseball ball, just like on the on the bust, on the body, and attached to the bust. In the end, I've just covered all with papercrete and ended with something like this. And in the end, I cut this bit here, and this is the bottom, let's say the bottom. Again, it represents, or it will represent, King John V of Portugal, and it's, let's say, not finished yet. Thursday was also the day when I went to the post office to ship my painting to Amsterdam. My first oeuvre in Amsterdam. Woohoo! Wednesday is my favorite day of the week. Why? Because I was born on a Wednesday. And again, it's Mercury's day, one of my favorite gods, like the messenger. It was a very funny day because it was Wednesday. No, I'm joking. I was planning to go to a local shop to fetch a nativity scene I had done last year. Don't know if you know it. In paper mache, just like my historical dolls. And there was a local shop, very small, very cute, that proposed me to do a nativity scene to exhibit there in order to be sold. But it wasn't. And as the shop is going to close soon, forever, I, of course, was asked to go and fetch it back. I don't know what I was doing on the room, in my bedroom, or our bedroom, but I looked to a shelf and I finally found this. This is my, we call it here like bread rubber, like you erase things and doesn't blur or doesn't do nothing. And guess what was attached on it? Damn it, I don't have it here. But it was paper mache based pins to put on. And why were they attached here? Because when I finished them, instead of applying a layer of varnish, I applied a layer of this resin. But again, as my maths aren't very good, when I mixed the mix, it wasn't, I don't know, it didn't work. And I thought it wouldn't, I even tried to wear one of the pins either 1 or 2 days after, because it felt like it was dried, but it wasn't. So all the fibers of the cloths got attached to the pin and it was a bit messy. So I just pinned them on this rubber thing because I don't have any plasticine or something. And by then I didn't need this. Now I do, because I'll tell you afterwards. And I just pinned them here to dry. So again, as I was on the room, or at the room, or whatever, in the room, I saw this, and the pins, and the resin was finally dried. And that was awesome, because when I went to the shop, I wore the pin already. No one noticed. It was a rather naughty pin, which I also published on Instagram through a small video. But again, I wasn't kicked off and everything was fine. But that experience inspired me to continue or recontinue yesterday. The paper mache based pin whole project. Now, again, about the nativity scene. I should have put the nativity scene on my Etsy shop whilst it was on the shop, the physical shop. But that didn't cross my mind. And now, yes, it is on my Etsy shop and you can have a look. I'll post the link below. Thursday, I woke up feeling like wanting to finally create a project or give a physical aspect of a mental project, of creating small oil paintings of portraits of, again, Dom João V. John V is my favorite Portuguese king, and if last year I thought about only focusing on Portuguese history, this year somehow the speech changed a bit, and I now decide to focus more and more about this Portuguese king. He ruled from 1706 until 1750, and I don't know how or why he is my favorite king. Politic-wise, he's not very important. Well, let's just say he was the Sun King of Portugal. Unfortunately, we don't have a Saint-Simon to tell us how court life was in reality. We do have some notes and some memoirs, but not as detailed as the memoirs that we have or that I have access to about France or Russia, or the life of Versailles by not just Saint-Simon but from the several madames that left their memories and such. But again, in Portugal we do have the Lisbon's Gazette, but it's just a paragraph and doesn't explain much. I have consulted it online. There's a wonderful website that has all of the what was written every day from a certain period of time until a certain period of time, and I'm planning again to dedicate myself to recreate his life, by which medium I'm able to, like painting, sculpture, miniatures, whatever. I even thought about creating a kind of conference. Of course I would have to study a lot, of course, but it's okay. And then instead of thinking about crossing the country or the planet, telling the story of Portugal, which is like, and I'm not that young anymore, telling the story of this particular king, either again by the aid of my artwork or not. Apparently I've been told that I speak very well, not English, Portuguese, and I can tell good stories. I don't know. But again, the idea for Thursday was to grab paintings done of him, for him, and create a series of paintings that show my goal now is his family, himself and his family. So yes, yesterday, Thursday, I started with his portrait. I'm not planning to do a copy. I'm not planning to do copies. I'm planning to somehow recreate within my painting skills, if I have any, famous or known portraits of him and his family. This, for example, is by Domenico Duprat, an Italian that he hired to come to Lisbon from Turin, Italy, and he became the major portraitiste of the royal court. He painted several portraits of this king. Of his wife, I'm not aware of, not yet, and some courtiers. Again, iconography-wise, as far as I know, Portugal, before the earthquake, is rather poor, which is understandable because the earthquake ruined most of the Lisbon area, and including the Royal Palace. The Royal Palace apparently was like full of luxury and lots of collections and of paintings, of books, of sculptures, of whatever. But the earthquake in 1755 just ruined everything, so we don't have much, or at least that's my opinion or my experience. I don't travel often, I just search things online, and somehow again the idea of telling his story is like to recreate whatever was lost in the earthquake in 1755. Not making these to sell, but if I ever know how to do postcards, I think that would be a wonderful idea to not only spread the royal iconography, but also to spread my work. The thing I said earlier about something that I'll tell you later, it's I am now trying to finish my studies. Here in Portugal, you go until the 12th grade, and then either you go to college or university. I think it's university. Or you just get a job. I did went through until the 12th grade, but on the 10th I cancelled one of the disciplines. So since 2001, almost 20 years ago, I have been trying to finish that, although I always felt that it wasn't important for what I wanted to do or what I want to do. But somehow, life becomes a bit dark, and one feels that one has to have whatever society asks in order to be considered. And by then, the 12th or the 12th one wasn't that important, but now it is sort of obligatoire, and without it, you're no one. So again, I try to finish that 2 or 3 or 4 times, I don't know, but there was something on the way, always something happening, and last year I found this program on a public school, and because I only have one discipline to do, I only have to do 150 period of classes, and then I'll have everything finished. So within the next beginning of March, I'm hopefully free and free. The thing is, because of this sort of visibility, things are starting to pop up, and although somehow I still feel that I'm being tamed, if that's a word, I'm pulling the strings in order to get some visibility. And at the moment, I've already chatted with a lady that runs the library, and apparently there will be an exhibition going on. Rather small, simple, but still, it's an exhibition, and it's an extra line on my CV. within the idea of being somewhere every day, somehow always pops me ideas of being creative. Although I'm somehow terrified of being noticed and terrified about not being noticed. But anyway, within that idea, and because of the rediscover of the pins I plans, and again John the Fifth, I restarted working on a project that I had started. Well, when I did those pins, which is this. Whoa. It's a paper mache based pin of a royal coat of arms, Baroque style, of Portugal, of course, and all within the style of the epoch from Dom João V or John V. And yes, yesterday I just refished it from the shelves, and I started to give modeling paste on some toilet paper rolls, and glued some diamonds, of course, on the royal coat of arms itself, and some shells going on, and there's only the crown missing, and here around I think I'm going to merge this coat of arms with the personal coat of arms of King Pedro III that one can see on the dishware on the souvenir shop at the Palais de Calouge, so the Royal Palace of Calouge. You have several faience souvenirs, and they all have this coat of arms. They have really nice blue swirls going on, and it's very colorful, and I'm planning to add that kind of feature to this pin, because yeah, why not? Guess what I'm doing on Friday today? This video, exactly, well done. I know the light is a bit shitty, and I'm so sorry for it, but at the moment it's what I have, or what I know how to do. And as it's 15 to 2 p.m. and my school starts at 7 p.m., maybe after lunch or in between I'll still work on my pin. Thanks for watching. Namaste.